Hi folks, just a very quick video for you based on a comment that I got earlier this week on a forum. Somebody had the question, how do I see a value as a round number, a whole number? And it came up because they were trying to show values in a chart, which if you need to see that, you can check out the link here and see how to show values in a chart in Cognos Insight. So I showed them how to do rounding, and I wanted to show you guys how to do rounding with an expression. But I do want to add that that's not something you'd ever typically do for formatting. Within the model, you can specify a format for any of your measures. If you want to see something as a whole unit, you want to see head count as a whole unit, you can do that. But if you need in your model logic to have a round number, so for example, if I'm planning head count and I actually want that to be a whole number, I never want to see 1.3 heads, then we can do that with a rounding expression. And we get full control. We can specify the number of decimals that we want. So I'm going to use a cube calculation for that, and we're going to do it in Cognos Insight, but cube calculations work exactly the same in Performance Modeler. So if that's what you're using to build your model, it'll work just as well there. So let's have a look.
So you guys can see the problem here in this little CDD file I've whipped up. We've got a number of charts here displayed based on the filter I've got. I'm looking at tobacco use by sex for 2010, and lovely little pie chart here to show my proportions by country. But there's one problem with that pie chart. I don't really want to show the full decimal precision. I want to limit that like I have with a format in my grid where I'm showing whole numbers. I want to do the same thing in my chart. So again, charts don't respect that formatting, so I actually have to make sure that the real value the chart's looking at is rounded as well, and I'm going to do that with an expression. So I'm going to do that here by putting my measures on rows and adding a new item. So I'm going to add an item called rounded percentage, and that's empty right now. We're going to calculate that, so I'm going to create a cube calculation, and I'm going to call that rounded percentage as well. I'll just resize this so that you can see it, and we'll create our expression. Now, two quick tips here that you want to know. When you've got filtered grid, we're going to use that grid, that filter within your scope. We don't really want that. We don't want to limit the scope of this expression. We want it to be used everywhere I'm using rounded percentage. And very simple expression I'm going to create here, just round, and then drag in my percentage so I get the name right, and apply that, and now we've got a rounded value. If I wanted to, I could be more specific and say round to precision, that's round P, and then pass in how many digits of precision I want. So if I wanted that to go to 1 decimal place, you can see here in the grid above that that's now to 1 decimal place. I could in fact even go up to tens by putting in -1, and that's going to move to the tens place, so there's really rounding there. Good chance for lots of rounding here. Let's just keep that to 0, which is in fact the same as if I'd used round as my expression here. The other thing that we want to watch out for when doing a rounding expression is if the consolidations are calculated as well, which mine are, they're averages, make sure we're doing this for leaf and consolidated elements. If you don't have sea-level expressions, it's fine to just round at the leaf level, but in this case I do, so I definitely want to combine those. And now the last thing I need to do to make my chart look pretty is for it to use that rounded percentage. And put my grid back the way it was, and I'm all set. If I wanted to, I could also apply a format to that rounded percentage to format only to those decimal places that I've done my rounding on, but I'm not too worried about that. I'm just using this expression to make my chart look pretty. Last bit I will show you is what that looks like as a rule. So if you're still using Architect and you're writing cube rules, it's a really straightforward cube rule that we have here. In this case, applied for both N level and C level. You don't necessarily have to specify both, but very simply, my expression here, round P, and then the number of decimal places of precision we want that rounding to happen at. So, hope that was helpful for you guys, and good luck.